So my first ever job, and it's at Microsoft at 16 years of age.
How much money you made with the first successful app?
Recently moved to Canada. I'm 12 years old, and that app organically just blew up. So around probably like $30,000-$40,000 when I was 12 years old.
How did you end up at Microsoft at the age of 16?
Microsoft was like, okay, we will hire you, but you're still in school. But you can't hire someone who's in grade 9. You can't hire a 13-year-old.
Oh my God.
And many legal...
So you've been changing the rules for everyone around you to make a space for yourself. So hello everyone, today we have Rayyan here. He's someone who got at the age of 16 to Microsoft. He has been coding since the age of 11, right? And today we will getting to know his journey.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for having me, for sure. So my name is Rayyan Siddiqui. I am currently a software engineer at Microsoft. I got hired when I was 16 years old. I'm based out of here in Vancouver, Canada. And yeah, I'm excited to our chat today.
Okay, so first of all, can you please share how did you get into coding? What age you started?
So my journey started when I was around 7-8 years old. Our family had recently moved from Pakistan. That's where I'm originally from Islamabad, Pakistan. We had recently moved to Saudi Arabia. That's where my journey initially began. I first started with Photoshop. So I would make like family edits. I would put 6-packs on like my uncle's photos. I would change the color of like my sister's eyes. So like just really basic stuff, just playing around with like photo editing, making someone look brighter, look younger, etc. All that stuff. That was the initial start in Photoshop. And then I slowly started watching YouTube. I used to play a lot of games as well at that time, like Call of Duty being my favorite. So I had this idea, okay, why not? Like I want to make my own game as well. Like I was really heavy into games. So I started like doing basic YouTube tutorials on like how to make simple games, like HTML games. That's what I started with. How to make basic websites, how to make basic apps. So that was like the initial start into the tech industry. It started off with designing, so like Photoshops and stuff. I also used to make marketing banners as well for my uncles and stuff back home in Pakistan. So that was the initial start. It was like designing first, playing around with Photoshop, making funny edits, and then slowly into basic websites, apps, etc. So.
Okay, so important thing here to notice is people who are obsessed over things, they are the ones who have a burning desire to achieve something. What was something you were obsessed about rather than just passionate about that helped you, to feel like coding is easy?
Yeah, I think that's a really important word you use, like passion. I think that's one of the questions I get as well is like all the time is oh, you're so lucky you found your passion early on. Literally, like I'll say it here, there was no passion in coding or like in the tech world for me. Passion came later on. Like once I got some level of competency, like I could actually do stuff, then the passion came. But before passion, it was obsession. The obsession was with trying to do something like in the digital world that can like help me make a name for myself, like help me generate like some type of income online, help me support my family, help me like make my parents proud. That was the main obsession that I had. It didn't matter it was in Photoshop, doesn't matter if it was with coding or whatever it was. Like even before coding, I used to do a lot of like online businesses. So I've any business that you can name, that you can think of digitally, I've done. I've sold t-shirts online, I've done drop shipping, I've done affiliate marketing. Like I've stories of all different businesses that I've done. Many failed, some successful, but my main mission from the start was just to be able to do something in tech that would help me like elevate my family's name, help me like just make a name for myself. And one of the things that, sorry to cut you off, but one of the things that happened to be was in tech. Like what you can do is like once you know how to code, you can make apps and websites. You can make those for other businesses. So that's one path that I stuck onto. So I worked for a couple companies, made their apps, made their websites. So that was like the main intro into that path. And then the passion came. Yeah.
One thing I've noticed is a lot of people who are in their home, like you came as an immigrant to Canada, a lot of people who are stuck in their home in that mindset, where they have everything available. They get a decent job. They feel so successful. But when you are an immigrant in a country, you are especially in a do or die situation. Like if you don't make something big, you go home. So was that a kind of burning desire in you that you wanted to create startups, do drop shipping, learn coding, find big ways to make money and do something big? So the burning desire was coming to achieve something in Canada, to live here, become an immigrant? What was the deep desire inside?
The deep desire was to just go up to my parents one day and say, you don't have to work anymore. Like that's been the mission from day one. Because initially when we moved from Saudi Arabia to Canada, like my dad, like the first generation immigrant struggle, many families have gone through it, but my dad, I mean, I'm one of 5 children, so I'm the oldest. I have 4 other siblings. So supporting such a massive family, my dad has always been my inspiration, like my end goal, like to just go up to him like, hey, you don't have to work anymore. That's been the goal from day one. So he used to work 2 jobs 7 days a week. That was where the burning desire came, like, hey, like I know I can do stuff. I've been doing this for so long, like making websites, making apps and stuff. I can do something with it. And so one thing that actually happened, and I'm grateful that this happened, was one of the apps, I used to do a lot of projects on my own. So I would like have an idea, create an app, launch it on the Play Store. Have an idea, launch it on the Play Store. Many like got like maybe 500 downloads, 10 downloads, etc. But one of my apps in particular, organically at its peak, was around 400 to 410,000 active users. It was an anime streaming platform that I made back in 2018. So this is when we recently moved to Canada. I'm 12 years old, and that app organically just blew up. And that was what gave my parents confidence. It started making 5 figures a month. And that was like, okay, wait. So we just went from like, my dad just went from like working 2 jobs, minimum savings, to now like actually having like an actual big income stream. And that gave my parents confidence as well, that, hey, there's a future in this. So they've been supporting me from day one, but they started supporting me even more. Like some of the money we made from the app, I started reinvesting in myself. So like I started doing paid courses instead of like only doing free YouTube courses. Started doing paid programs. One of the programs I did was by Udacity, like their nano degree programs. I was the youngest one to complete those as well. So I started.
You're still the youngest with a nano degree in the world, right?
Yeah.
Still.
So that was back in 2017 or 2018 when I did their artificial intelligence programming with Python. So
you were 12 or 13 at the time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, how much money you made with the first successful app? Because what I've learned from you is speed is something you had the biggest advantage with, because you were operating like a startup. You were launching stuff and figuring out, oh, this works and this doesn't work. By the time a competition is like, figuring out what works, you've already failed with 2 apps and figured out the third is going to work.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, not just 2 apps, like even before, so many before. But 2 like major ones that I spent a lot of time with. I think that's really important as well. It's speed, because a lot of people, and this is something I fell in the trap as well, but you have to consciously remind yourself, is that you can spend so much time just thinking about things, like making them perfect, etc. And you probably know this better than anyone, like interacting with so many startup founders, is like there's this concept in the startup world of like a MVP, like a minimal viable product. Like just having something is better than like waiting on making it perfect and then launching it. So like this is my biggest advice to people as well. Like literally there's like people overcomplicate things, like, oh no, this needs to be perfect, my app should have like 10 features before I launch this. Like just doing stuff is way better than thinking and like planning. So that's been a key principle in the journey so far. So
incredible. So how much money you think your app made, and after how many apps you published, you finally made money?
Many. There were many that were unpublished as well that I just used to learn. So I started. So this is mainly when I'm doing app development, because this was a mobile app. I've been making mobile apps since I was 8 years old, and this one got successful when I was 12. So it took 4 years of just trial and error. Which I mean people don't see because it just happens behind the scene. Like day and night I'd just be working literally, because when we lived, because I came to Canada when I was around 12. Before that I was in Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, like your summer break is like 3-4 months long, similar to like universities here, but the like if you go to regular public school here, it's only 2 months long. So there it's like 4 months long. So I got even more time. Day and night I would just spend on my like creating apps. I made like a basketball counter. If you're playing basketball, you can count your score. I made a cricket streaming app for my dad. Like we had 2 users, me and my uncle and my dad. Like we would just watch, use the app. I made many others. I made I made a meme generator app, which some of my friends suggested me to do. So like it was an app you can play different meme sound effects and like create your own memes inside the app. It had like a selection of different meme templates. Add your text and there's your meme. You can send it to your group chats and stuff. Like many apps. Point is like 4 years of trial and error before one of them got really successful. So
So how much money the first app finally made?
It started, so first month it made 18 cents, which me and my mom, we still joke about this. Is like we went crazy. It's like we just made some money online. That was epic. Second month we did around $400 in monthly recurring, and then third month was, it just skyrocketed to 5 figures. Like it organically blew up, because at that time it was, so 5 figures being like more than 10,000. And this was back in 2018. I'm still in grade 8. At that time, I would, so with this anime streaming app, like one thing that we did was, like, in the app we had, say, like 10 shows that you can watch. We had a feature where you can request a show, so you can send us like a description that, hey, I want to see the show in the app. We would get an email, and then we would add that show to the app, and then like mention your name, like, hey, Harnoor said to add like Naruto, and then Naruto is added here. So we had that. So I would be in school, my parents would be responding to emails, adding shows. I like trained them on how to do it. I would come back, they would sleep, and then I would do it. So we had this whole cycle going for a couple of months.
So your parents were your biggest teammates in your startup?
Yes. They were the original co-founders. So.
Wow. So, okay, can you break that down? So the app, basically you have anime characters in the app, right? So how did you get this idea?
So the way it worked, it was more of a search engine. So it was kind of like Google. So Google doesn't host any like websites. It just like points you to where the websites are. So this was a streaming, kind of, you can call it a streaming search engine, where so the biggest problem I had in my life, so I was I'm still a big anime fan. I watched lots of anime. These days less, but lifelong anime fan. But so my biggest problem was there wasn't like you can find some past anime clips and stuff online from like different websites. So I thought, let's just build a search engine where, like, say I want to watch a past like Naruto fight, like that happened 5 years ago. Like it'll be all organized in the app, and then you can click on it. It'll like show you different servers where you can play it from, you can stream it from. So it was kind of like a search engine, a wrapper on top of what's already out there. So
okay, so is that legal? Like, you know, if, for example, you take the user to some pirated website where it's hosted, rather than like Netflix or the popular streaming platforms, is that legal?
It was more of a search engine. It's similar to like how, like, the app itself didn't host anything. Like what it did, it just showed you like, hey, we did a quick Google search on your behalf. Like, these are the results we found, choose it. So there was no liability on the app itself. It was more like we were doing like a custom search query for you. So that was like a little loophole. So yeah.
And Google was okay with like hosting a competitor on the Play Store and App Store?
Well, yeah, but it wasn't like a search engine. It was just very specific to the streaming, like this anime domain. So it wasn't like, yeah. So Google was fine with it. So that this happened for like 3-4 months. The app went completely viral. And then had to take the app down, obviously, because it was in the gray area, wasn't like fully defined. So now it's hosted, if anyone's curious, it's hosted on my personal website. You can download it, bit.ly/RayyanAnime. Just FYI, small plug. So
amazing. So getting to this journey, like, what are the skills that help you the most to get to this point, to actually making like, you know, 5-figure, you know, how much money you said?
Yeah, 5 figures a month. But this was like when I was 12 years old. So this is like, I'm 20 now. I just turned 20 a couple of weeks ago. So
and it still makes money right now?
No. Now I'm focused on different bigger projects, bigger stuff. So
So how much total you would say this has made money?
The app?
Yeah, at the age of 12 or 13, you know.
Total, on the top of my head, it would probably be so the app growth burst lasted for 4 months. And after the second month, we started doing 10 figures. So around probably like $30,000-$40,000 when I was 12 years old. So
$30,000 to $40,000 total.
Yeah, but only in 3 months. And then like I moved on to new projects. So
okay. So what are the skills you think, you know, someone watching this video want to launch their own app? What skills you think helped you to reach this far?
Biggest skill is just doing it, like not letting perfectionism get in the way. That's the biggest skill. Like even me, it's still a constant battle. Like even right now, I'm working on like even bigger problems, like actual public startups, and like the biggest thing is just like not letting procrastination, the perfection, that get in the way. Like just doing stuff. That's the biggest skill.
Not the coding skills.
Well, so the coding part is easy to learn. Like anyone can learn that. Like I always say that. Even like I run a YouTube channel as well. Every time people ask me like, what language should I learn in this? What's like the most in demand? I'm like, just pick like Python, like any language. Once you know the fundamentals, it's very easy to switch. Like that's not the main thing. Like even ChatGPT can code now, so that's not even something special. The main skill is like your problem solving and your adaptability. Is like how well can you find a problem and like break it down. Because once like, and this is what like actual software engineers get paid for. Like you can attest to this as well. Like our actual work is just like the architecture side of things. It's like, okay, we have this problem. How do we make sure that our existing system, we can fit this into our existing system and also make new additions as well. Once you do that, it doesn't matter what framework you're using. You're doing app development, web development, working on a backend service. Like that's the easy part. But the biggest skill is your problem solving, how well you can break down something, and your adaptability as well, how well you can switch between different domains.
Yeah, there are only few software engineers and coders in the world जो कहते हैं कि they want to become a programmer not because of money, but because of their innate passion. And he is the kind of person I was dying to meet, and I finally was able to use my networking skills. And now to network, you need networking skills beyond, especially with Mint Mobile, because this mobile network in US gives you everything unlimited starting at $15 per month. And especially for travelers like me, whether I go to India, US, Canada, Mexico, I have international roaming in my pocket at all times. Check out Mint Mobile by going to mintmobile.com/thing and get your deal immediately. Now coming to the exciting stuff, how did you end up at Microsoft at the age of 16? Like what happened in between 12 and 16 that brought you all the way? What are the things you launched? Let's slowly get into the journey.
Sure, lots of stuff. So this is a very every year that my birthday hit, like there's a major milestone that was hit. So I started tech when I was 8 to 12, a lot of trial and error, like 4 or 5 years of strict trial and error, learning coding skills, just honing my own skills, making websites. And every time I made a new project, the next one would always be a little bit more technically complex. So just doing that. By 12 years old, I'm like running like this really big app, anime one. And then when I turned 13, this is where Google has some certifications that you can do to prove your competency in certain areas. One of them was their associate Android developer certification. So I did that. I literally waited for my birthday because you have to be 13 to do it. I literally waited for my birthday. Clock hit 12. I said like, okay, start exam. So I did that certification. It's in two process. Part one is like they give you an app, like a dummy app, and then you make some fixes to it, fix some bugs, add new features, etc. It's basically testing your competency. Like, are you industry level proficient in Android development? Like, if you were to work in a company, can you handle what's all the different domains? So I did that. The part two was like they do a video interview, ask you some questions. So I did that. I was 13 and I was informed I was the youngest one. Like they hadn't been notified of anyone under 18 and I was 13. So like I was the youngest one in the world, like the youngest Android developer in the world at that time, recognized by Google. This was back in 2017. This is also the time where I did the Udacity degree, the nano degree, which I was the youngest one. So this is all when I'm 13, still in grade 8, still in middle school, haven't even started high school. Everyone here, like in Vancouver, knows like I'm like the tech guy. People come to me for tech questions. Like my friends like giving me app ideas and stuff. But a lot of it started changing when I got into high school. So when I'm still 13, now I'm starting grade 9. For people watching, like the way education works here in North America is like your grade 6, 7, 8 is your middle school. And then 9, 10, 11, 12 is your high school. And then anything after that is post-secondary. You can either go to college or university. So I'm now starting my high school, which is my grade 9th year. And this is where, when I get into school, I start enrolling in, so the way like school works here is like half of your school is like your required courses, which is like math, socials, like all the basics. And then half of them are electives that you can choose like whatever course you want to study. So I put down my name for like all the tech courses that are out there. So like the programming courses, everything. And then I learned like as I'm doing these courses, like I've already done this stuff for like the past 5 years. Like I'm not gaining much value out of it. So I reach out to my principal, Anthony Chilfido. I'll drop his name as well. He's been a tremendous support, our principal here at the school that I went to, high school. So he was like, okay, we'll do one thing. It's like we know about you as well, like some of the stuff you've done, like you're recognized as the youngest developer, Android developer. What we'll do is we'll take you out of all the programming classes, and then we'll put you in something called an IDS, an independent directed studies. So basically the school gave me time, like literally in school time, to study whatever I want. And then I just had to write a report on it, like a paper on it at the end of every week, like what I studied into. So I'm still in high school, 13 years old. I decided to do research in reinforcement learning, which is a branch of artificial intelligence. I actually have it on my blog as well, the whole thing documented. You just search up like on Google, Muhammad Rayyan Siddiqui blog or IDS, it will come up. Like I have the whole journey.
Yeah, let me clarify. Like this is where North America becomes special.
Yes.
In Asia, anywhere, Pakistan, India, you go there, you asked your teacher to change the education system, change the syllabus. They won't do that. They will say, this is the syllabus, this is how we're going to stick to it. In college in the US, in schools in Canada or US, you go there, they try to take you up the ladder because you are way smarter for that syllabus. That's what makes North America special. That's why, the most talented people are here and the youngest are here. So carry on. So here you started, you first of all changed the education system for yourself, and now you started with artificial intelligence at the age of 13.
Yeah.
So carry on.
So I'll just add to that point. That's very true. It's like that is the reason why, and that's why like all the young people, all the tech entrepreneurs are here in North America, and they actually thrive, is because the system gives them that flexibility, which I think is like unparalleled. You won't find that, and that's why I'm a big fan of like I'm very involved in our local community here, the school I went to. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that system. So yeah, so they gave me that flexibility. It was giving flexibility, but then also acknowledging like my past stuff as well, because like they actually saw like, okay, here's like what I've done. Like I run these big apps. I've done like I'm the youngest Android developer, etc. So that, okay, we want to give you a platform to like build off of this. Like we're not going to waste your time like you learning basic Python again, like for 2 hours every week or stuff like that. So yeah, so they put me in an IDS. It's all documented on my blog, like the whole start of my journey. Every week I had a new journal. At the end of the blog, I did my final project was OpenAI at the time. Company is now really huge, but they had they used to do this open source AI environments where you can train certain models. So one of their environments was a self-driving car. So I program a virtual self-driving car to teach itself how to drive. But that was my main capstone project that I did with reinforcement.
Right around when OpenAI was founded in 2017, you were on it.
They were a non-profit at the time, so I'll just put that there for people who know. But they used to do like public. They're now obviously like a big company generating profit, but they used to do public research in AI. They still do, but they used to do public research in AI. And one of the things that they were really heavy into was reinforcement learning. In particular, there's one specific thing called behavioral cloning, which is basically like a AI agent tries its best to imitate a human in something. So this is similar to what Tesla uses in their this principle in their self-driving cars. Like they actually have humans who drive the car, and then they gather all the data, and then the AI engine tries to match that human as a benchmark, so that this is what behavioral cloning is. So they used to do a lot of research into that before. So yeah, so I was on that when I was 13. So I did that. The school gave me flexibility. But then this is where Microsoft came into my life. So this is when I'm 13 years old. I'm 20 now. This is my 8th year. I'm going into my 8th year that I've been affiliated with Microsoft. So almost half of my life I've spent in a relationship with Microsoft. And so...
so you were connected with Microsoft since the OpenAI time?
Yes, so I'll get to the story how that happened. So our school, Microsoft has a really big relationship with many of the schools here in Canada, like the districts. So district being a big area that's a group of schools. So we use Microsoft products in our education, like Word, Teams, OneNote, Excel, all the basics. So the school district CEO, our district CEO, she reached out to Microsoft that, hey, we have this kid here. You guys know, this is literally, I'm paraphrasing the actual email that was that I was told that she sent. Hey, we have this kid here. You guys know something about tech. Can you help him? And so that's when I was sitting in my English class. I think it was a Friday, end of the week. I was sitting in my English class, my last class of the day. My name gets called to the office. I go to the office. There's a principal sitting and our district IT manager sitting, and they're like, "Hey, Mohammed, you've just been invited to Microsoft. Do you want to go?" And it just like it literally happened. So Microsoft invited me, the Microsoft Vancouver campus. They invited me to meet one of their engineering VPs there. So I got to meet him, and literally as soon as I met him, like, he shook my hand. "Hey, Mohammed, we've heard so much about you. Let's have a chat." Like, they took me out for lunch. We had a really long chat. First question he asked me was like, "What can we do for you?" And my soon was like, "Hey, hire me. This is what I want. I know I have the skills to work in the industry. Like, I'm not gaining much value from being in school, like in high school at that time, especially the tech part of the school." So I was like, "Hey, I want to get into the industry." So that's where that relationship started with Microsoft. That I'm in high school, we have this chat. Like, they toured me around the whole office. I got to meet many of the engineers. One thing I did as soon as I went home, I remembered all their names, searched them on LinkedIn, sent them a request, and I stayed in connection with them, like with all the engineers that I met, all the designers, everyone that I met at Microsoft. They're in my LinkedIn, like since I was 13 years old. So they knew me, and like I had a connection with them. And so Microsoft was like, "Okay, we will hire you, but you're still in school. Like, you can't hire someone who's in grade 9. You can't hire a 13-year-old. So from that day, I made a goal. Okay, I'm going to graduate early. Like, I want to be in the industry, and school is not helping me achieve that goal. So I want to finish school as soon as possible." So what I did was I decided, okay, I'll do as many courses as humanly possible. So I did like 2 times my regular course load in school. I did online courses, and I did summer school. So 4 years worth of education I managed to finish in a year and a half. So I graduated when I was 14 years old. I graduated high school. I was one of the youngest students to finish high school.
Really? You start high school at the age of 13, when you were in 9th grade.
Yeah.
And in 1.5 years, at the age of 14, you're done with 4 years of high school.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing to imagine. Like, it's very unheard of.
Yeah.
So how did you do that?
So that, and plus in parallel, I'm still doing my own like contract work as well. I'm still making apps for like restaurants, for nonprofit orgs here. So the grind is continuing. Like, my own personal work didn't stop. Nothing was compromised. Basically, what I'm trying to say is like school plus my own work was going perfectly fine. The way I managed to do that was like, in our school district, you can do online. They offer online courses as well. So you can do online courses, you'll get credit for them, and then you can use that credit as your regular course credit. So I would be in school doing like my classes. At lunchtime, I'd be doing online classes. Back to school, then at home doing online courses. So in my first year, I was in grade 9. In my second year, I was in grade 10, 11, 12 all together. But it managed to work out. So I managed to graduate early. I was 14. And the whole goal at that time was I just want to get into the industry as soon as possible. And so I'm 14. Then I turned 15. I started the University of British Columbia here at UBC in Vancouver. One of the top.
Wait, so you can start college, like there's no age limit to give SAT, and you can start college like at the age of 14, 15 as well?
No, there is. So that's a whole different story in and of itself. So I was the last person. So I graduated 2020. I was the last person to get an admission to the university. It took them. I applied in February. I got my results back in like early September, like just 1 week before classes started. So it took them almost a whole year to figure out like what to do with like a 14-year-old joining university. I had to write a letter to the dean of science at UBC, like convincing them, like a whole massive letter that I can handle a workload, like a full university workload. And then they had to like process my application through like the president, the dean of science, etc. But yeah, it took a really long time. Because obviously once you're in university, it's like you're usually an adult when you go into university. So like managing a course load, like all the stress and like this and that, like all the stuff that happens in universities, like people maybe their concern was like, I'm just starting too early. Like I'll probably fail all my classes because I'm starting early. Like it's better if I wait later. I was like, no, I want to do this. So they gave me the heads up, and then I was literally 1 week before classes started, I got my admission. You usually get your admission letter like months before, so you can plan for it. And I got it 1 week before. And me and my parents, we joke about this now. I didn't apply anywhere else, like only UBC, because that's like the top university we have here in Canada, like University of Toronto and UBC. Like those are the big top two. And where I live, it's UBC. So I only applied to UBC, nowhere else, no other university, etc. And my parents were always like, "Hey, like you're not getting admission, like apply somewhere else. Like what are you gonna do?" I was like, "No, I know I'll get this. Like I'm very confident I will, because like it doesn't make sense if I don't." So, but I'm glad.
Yeah.
Hope thankfully it worked out. So
you had the right grades, you had the right profile to get into UBC. So why they stretched till the last week to admit you? Like, did they put you on waitlist?
Yeah, it was because of the age, because they weren't sure, because I had to convince the dean of science. Like I had to, they told me that, hey, like the admissions office is not going to do this. Like you have to write a letter to the dean of science, like because I was applying for a bachelor's of science degree. So I wrote like this massive 1,000-page essay. Is like, wait, why you should let me in? How can I prove that I've done a core? Like I've handled like much more harder stuff before this, and so yeah, so I just have to convince them, because obviously in university there's like these small things like people failing. There's also like student suicide as well that sometimes happen, like people, because of the stress they have in college, they just can't manage it. So like, a lot of things. So they wanted to consider everything, because it's like you're putting a 14-year-old with like 18, 20-year-olds, and yeah, and North American universities as well. Lots of party culture here, so like a lot of stuff to consider. So no.
Yeah, like they don't want you to be like drunk at the age of like 14
yeah.
with 18-year-old kids.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's how the principle comes in North America. For every problem, there is a solution. You just have to ask for it.
Yes.
And you, along the way, you went beyond the rule book. You were like, you can do this. I'm just gonna ask if I can, and you did it.
No. Yeah, that's a really important thing. It's like, don't, because like there's nothing to be hesitant of. Like even the worst thing that they say is like no one will ignore you. It's like, like there's so many stories I'm skipping to get to this point. There's like scholarships. I got a lot of scholarships as well during my time. They also had a problem with my age and stuff. So there's like many things, and all of it, the way like I navigated it is just by communicating. It's just by like talking, asking questions, telling people that, hey, this is what I want to do. How can I do it? So.
Okay, so you're like 14 or 15 right now, entering UBC.
Yeah.
So now, what is your goal now? You want to get into Microsoft? You want to get into industry? You want to create a startup? What was your goal?
Yeah, so the goal all along, ever since I got invited to Microsoft, was to get into the industry. So that was the goal. So I was in contact with people at Microsoft. So this is 2020. This is when COVID-19 happened. So my university experience was all online. This is where I was in contact with Microsoft. They were like, okay, like sure, we'll hire you, but you're still like in university. So at that time, my goal was I want to finish university early as well. Like I want to do this in like 3 years and just get this over with, and then I'll be able to join university. But then what happened is I did a year online at UBC, and then when I'm 16 years old, I hear back from Microsoft that, hey, the people that I met before. They actually moved and they started a new team called Azure Communication Services. This is a team that I work in now. So they started during like the pandemic era, and they were hiring like crazy. Like they had like 2,000 job postings on like their career site, like absolutely crazy hiring during the pandemic. And they reached out that, hey, we're looking for people specifically in like the mobile app development area. Your background is in that. Like I've literally spent like the past 6 years in app development. Like your background perfectly aligns with what we're looking for. Like, do you want to apply? So I applied to Microsoft and had my interview loop, like the full massive interviews that you had, like 4, 5, 6 hours consecutive. And then my interviews happened in March of 2021. This is when I'm still in my first year. It took them about 6 to 7 months to clear all the legal complications to get me actually hired. So I started working around like September, October 2021. It's like from March till like September. Like it was all just a lot of lawyers involved and stuff. Because I would be, well, I'm still the youngest, like the youngest ever that Microsoft has hired. So I was 16 at that time. Many complications to work through. Number one, you can't give stock to a minor. That was one. Number two, in Microsoft offices, especially in the Vancouver one, you get like free food, free drinks. Some of those drinks have alcohol in them, so you can't really serve alcohol to a minor. So they had to change their office alcohol policy just to accommodate me. So like people had to give up their alcohol just so I can join the Vancouver office.
Oh my God.
And many legal.
changing the rules for everyone around you to make a space for yourself. It's insane.
Yeah.
Okay, so good.
Yeah, so I'm glad it worked out, but in hindsight, yeah, it's been quite a journey, and then many like other tiny things as well. Hiring a minor, like can he actually handle a workload or not? Why are you hiring a minor versus someone who's graduated university who's like 24, 25? So like a lot of stuff. But then Microsoft and I, like especially the people that I met, we had a really close relationship since I was in grade 9, since I was 13. Like they knew my skills as well, and they wanted to give me a platform as well. Like, hey, you've done this stuff outside of Microsoft. Now we like come here, join us. We'll give you like more support, more tools, and we want to actually see your career growth. And so that's how I ended up getting hired at 16 years old after like months and months of discussion, talks, lawyers, and all that. So I started when I'm 16 in October 2021. I joined this new team at ACS. I'm still with them. I started 16, got to learn so much. Obviously, it was my first ever job. I've never done a job before. I've been like an entrepreneur from day one, like online stuff, doing my own startups. So my first ever job, and it's at Microsoft at 16 years of age. It's been quite a journey.
Yeah, and you've spent almost 4 years at Microsoft.
No.
And how colleagues look upon you as a teenager.
Yeah, it's been interesting dynamic. Majority, like 99% of them are they're actually supportive. They're like, wow, like you're half of our age, because most of the people I interact with, they're like 30 plus. Some are like new fresh graduates, but especially all the managers, they're all like 30 into their 40s. So yeah, they're like, hey, you're like half of our age, and we're like working with you. So yeah, it's been awesome working with everyone. So
okay, now let's get into the detail. Like how easy or difficult is for a passionate coder like you to work in big tech at a young age? Like, were you able to handle the pressure? Were you able to handle weekly discussions with your managers, people who are like double of your age?
Yeah, I think that was never a problem, because all my life I've always been with older people. Even like when I was in grade 12, it was like all 18, 19-year-olds, and I'm like the only 12, 13-year-old. So that was never the problem. And I think the key skills that helped me, one was just communicating, the talking to people. Like it's very easy to, because like the things that like 16-year-olds talk about in their head is not the same as like 40-year-old like professional corporate people talk about. Like in my usual talk with my friends, I'm like saying like slang words, like different memes and stuff. Like professional corporate people don't do that. Like they're very direct. So communicating, learning when to like turn off your teenage side versus your professional side, like when to communicate clearly, that was like a major skill. Second was like just understanding different personality types, because like even in the corporate world, I'm sure everyone has experienced this in their workplace. There's like some people that you can be really friendly with, some people that you only talk to about work with. So kind of in your head having a mental image of everyone, like, hey, if I need to reach out, like these are the two best people to reach out to. Maybe let's not talk to him, let's talk to him about it. It'll be much easier. So like some of those skills I learned as I like got into Microsoft, because it was my first ever job. Like I hadn't worked with a team before. I worked with them before Microsoft. The biggest team I worked with was like a team of 3 that we worked on a project, and that was for a hackathon, and that's it. Like I had no like team experience working with people. So that was one of the key skills: communication, just general teamwork. The technical part wasn't a problem, because like I've been doing this for the past, like now I'm 20, like I'm going into my 12th year in tech. So yeah, that technical wasn't an issue. It was more of like just learning communication and stuff.
So this brings us to the importance of college degree. Like you were a first year student, and then you straight got a full-time job at Microsoft. Now, if you have to look back, how important you think is college degree right now? Most of the programmers, you say as well, like, coding is extremely easy because majority of programmers, even right now, use English to write code, to interact with LLMs. So how would you say you think about college degree right now?
So college degrees, they still have a lot of value. I'm still a big fan of university degrees. In my personal journey, like the way I was able to get a job while still being my first year was because I had done stuff before. Like, because a lot of people, they wait on a degree, and then like the only thing they have to show is a degree. But even getting a degree is like, even from like the best university in the world, like there's other people who have a degree as well. Like that's not something special. Every year millions of people graduate with a degree, but the thing you need is like these unique points that set you apart from other people. For me, it was always like whatever I did, I was the youngest one to do it, youngest one to finish school, youngest one to run these apps, youngest one to do this. So I had like 16 was when I got hired. I've been doing tech when I was 8. So I had like 8 years of like stuff to show for, basically. And that was my substitute for a degree. If I hadn't done anything before, then obviously I would need a degree. I would need something to learn my skills. I think nowadays with a degree, it's not... So a degree gives you like a general knowledge of the tech world, but the actual work that you do is very specific, like specific domain level work that you do. So you're either working in like, say, like a app development framework. Like a degree won't teach you app development. They'll teach you like the general theory of computer science and stuff. And then the stuff that you do on the job, you still have to learn that either way. So my thing is like a degree is very valuable. Like if you have the means to get a degree, for sure, do it. If you're confused, if you're not sure if you should get a degree or you shouldn't, it's probably better that you should get a degree. Because like if you waste time just thinking about, should I do a degree or not? It's probably better to do a degree. But if you are 100% sure that where I want to go, like a degree is not in those steps to achieve my goals, then you can for sure skip university. So
okay. Now coming back to your startup journey, like you were very successful at a young age. If you could build a $40,000 startup at the age of 12, why not continue doing startups?
I am. So that's something that's been going. So that's what I mentioned. So even when in my core, I was doing like crazy courses, even when I'm working like my own personal work, that never got disrupted. So I'm still doing, I run now one of the leading app development companies in Canada, Raytech. So we've like created apps for like many businesses here in Canada. So that's still running. That's my app development startup. And then my own personal startup, which I'm involved in, it's a healthcare product. Which is working on a really big scale. So startup that never stopped. So
awesome. So let's talk about your startup. So this was incredible journey, like, getting into Microsoft, and this proves that if you want to achieve something big in life, you don't have to give up on important things like stability, stable job, supporting your family. You can do multiple things, and it just requires you to manage your time properly. Mm-hmm. So I think the biggest lesson you've taught us so far is you have to be really fast in building. Like, while a competition is like struggling with the first failure, you have failed twice and built 3 to 4 apps. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, you have been really, really passionate and talking to all the people who come in the way really fast. So your communication has helped you a lot in your journey. Tell us, what are the correlations and causations you will draw in your journey from the age of 12 to 20, which have made you successful so far?
Mm-hmm. Well, before I answer that, another thing I'll mention is one thing that I didn't have in my side that I got very later on was a mentor. I think if you do the university route, non-university route, doesn't matter. If you have someone to guide you, I think that's very important. I didn't. Like I literally did like 6-7 years of trial and error, learning about this, like making games, making apps, making this and that. So a lot of trial and error. It was only later, like when I turned 16, when I had like that relationship with Microsoft, that I like got some industry level people that I can ask questions and stuff. Like they helped me make my resume. Literally, a principal EM. Obviously I won't say the name, privacy. But a principal EM. Literally, I had a call with him. He helped me. This is before Microsoft. Like even before I applied for Microsoft, he like helped me. He like gave me tips on how to format my resume and stuff. So having that support is very important. I got it really later on, but the way now I'm trying to do the same for people. So if you're someone watching, if you feel like maybe you're, I don't know, in Pakistan, in India, or wherever in the world, like obviously here in Canada, I have like the education system to help me, like people who are actually supportive. Maybe you don't. And this is my best attempt to like help people. Is like I've recently started a new tech community where my goal is like I didn't have anyone to tell me what to focus on and what to not. But if I can tell other people, like you can save so much time. Like if I knew what I knew now, like I would literally be working at Microsoft when I was like 12. Like I wouldn't need all that trial and error. Like all the lessons that I learned painfully. Like if there was someone, like even you can attest to this as well. Like if you're guiding say up and coming engineers, up and coming YouTubers, and like, hey, focus on this. Let's not make content on this and stuff. Like, it's a massive help. So yeah, so I recently started that, like my best attempt to help people. I think mentorship is really important as well. So
totally, 100%. I think, what you learn through trial and error in 4 years, you can literally achieve, like, just like Mr. Beast says, with the knowledge he has right now, he can reach 10 million subscribers again if he starts a channel right now. Yeah. And a lot of YouTubers say that as well. Like, this knowledge, what you learn through years of experience, same with coding, what you learn through years of experience, if you have to start over and mentor someone, they can accelerate that 4-year gap.
No. So yeah, so that
they can accelerate without 4-year investment.
Yeah, so they can learn I love this, one of my favorite lines, like they can learn the lessons without the scars. It's like you can so fast track it. You have no idea how much a mentor helps if you have someone. And like the way I do, so I run this community called Tech Masters Institution. You guys can check it out, totally free. That I don't charge any money, nothing.
Yeah.
All my courses,
paid courses. It's all free.
Yeah, it's all for free.
Giving in comments below.
Yeah, it's you can link it down below. So school.com/TMI. You'll get I'll teach you everything, all the technical stuff, plus literally Q&A calls with me directly for free. Like, you don't if you have questions, you can ask me. And then a lot of the people from my network that I interact with, like I do, I have a podcast as well on my YouTube channel called Life Tech and Beyond. So I interview like people from Google, from Amazon, Microsoft, etc. So I bring them in the community, because if you're someone from Asia, you have no way of interacting with a principal executive at Google. But you can do that through this community, totally free. So yeah, you guys can check it out if you want. It's
true. Okay. Yeah. Any correlations and causations you would draw in your journey? Like, you have to make a roadmap with your journey, to be at Microsoft. What correlations, causations you can study in your journey and make a roadmap for kids?
I see. Okay. Sounds good. Okay, so in terms of causations and correlations, I think I'll give my answer in two parts. There's a non-technical one and the technical one. And this is if you do them in order, you can achieve whatever results you want, which is either launching a really successful startup, or getting a 6-figure job, landing a big a job at a big tech company. All the people that do this, they follow a certain path to get to it. It's not, you don't get hired by accident. You have to be eligible to basically get hired, get work. Everyone who is a successful startup founder, their success didn't come just randomly. It wasn't a lottery ticket. It was all planned. It was all done according to a plan. So I think in terms of the non-technical part, the framework that I followed was, number one, being taking relentless action. If I wasn't able to do something, I just did it on my own. I didn't wait on, okay, so I want to, for example, I want to make money. I want to run a company. I didn't wait on doing an MBA or learning business lessons or stuff. I literally just went on my computer, made some apps, published them, messaged my friends that, hey, these are my apps, use them. There's nothing stopping you, it doesn't matter whatever country you're in, whatever education system you're in. Now, thankfully we have the internet. You can connect with the whole world directly. You can do anything, literally. I know it's cliche, you hear that all the time, but there's absolutely no excuse. Even if your school doesn't support you, college is too expensive, college doesn't teach you what you need, just learn it by yourself. And the biggest thing is, again, I'll just reiterate it, my current effort, something that I'm really heavily involved in, is this free community that I'm growing, Tech Masters. So school.com/techmasters. I know it's in the description, but school.com/TMI. So in that community, one thing I've done is I've created a whole framework that I followed, a technical framework. Because even in tech, and I'm sure you can attest to this as well, there's so many different skills to learn, especially nowadays. People get confused. Should I learn about AI? Should I learn about LLM? This is a new thing. Before, a couple of years ago, it was blockchain. Should I learn blockchain, Web3, and this and that? So I've laid out a full framework that I followed to fast track my way in tech, and you can follow the same thing. Starting with the basics, and it's all for free. First, I'll say that again. It's literally all for free. Starting with the basics, just learning the core programming concepts. That was once you know the core, a core of, say Python or JavaScript, any programming language, it's very easy to switch. You don't need to learn 10 languages, just 1 or 2. Java, my favorite is Python and JavaScript. Once you learn the basics, then it's time. So step 2 is learning specific knowledge, which is for example, like you can spend your whole life building, like solving lead code questions. Like these are like doing stuff that like works in a terminal or like stuff like that. But in order to actually produce something in the tech world, you need something that's like actually usable. So focusing on like doing stuff that's product based. So maybe learning about making an app, making a website, something that's actually usable, that will give you way more experience than like solving lead code questions for like 10 hours every day. Like actually building a product, thinking about, okay, I want to build my own YouTube, for example. Like, okay, what are all the parts in YouTube? Let's break it down. Okay, you can store a video, you can upload a video, you can stream a video. What if someone has bad internet? Okay, let's like turn the video down in quality. Like thinking about like launching your own product, like that will give you way more experience than anything else. So that's something that helped me in my journey, was like taking action, trying to build as many products as possible. So that's part 2. Learning basics, learning specific knowledge so you can build products. In my case, it was mainly with app development. So iOS, native Android, React Native. Like those are my 3 key. And that's what I teach in my community as well. Because mobile is the future. Like everyone is on their phone. Once you know how to build something on mobile, like it's like, that's it. Like you can literally transition to anything else. So, and it's also something that's usable. Like it's not like I build a Python script here, really cool Python script, but it has no real world usage. Like all the stuff that actually makes money in the actual world is like actual applications that you use. So whether that's like YouTube or like you play a game on your phone, like it's actual usable software
with user interaction somewhere. You can't just make a server and say I made an app. It should be usable with user interaction.
Yeah, because when you think about how to make it usable, that's where you learn the most. It's like, okay, what do people actually want? Like if I'm making a game, okay, it should be interact. Or let's go back to the YouTube example. Like if I'm making my own YouTube, like Rayyan Tube, you can play a video. Like if someone has low internet, okay, I'll like put the video down. What if they're viewing it on a tablet? Okay, like I'll full screen it, etc. So you learn about these problems that you wouldn't have had if you're, like you said, like building a server or like building a Python script, etc. And nowadays, like even ChatGPT can do it. So that's not even something special. Like you can, like even right now, if I need anything, like I used to do a lot of web automation, so like web scraping tools with Selenium and Python. Like I just do that with GPT now. Like I just have GPT write me all the scripts and yeah. So part 1, learning basics. Part 2, focusing on really specific domain, app development, websites, or games. Like just pick one of the 3. Use your daily life as an inspiration. I use a lot of apps, so I've chose to making apps. If you play a lot of games, like choose like make your own. Like say you play a lot of Fortnite, like make your own version of Fortnite. Like make that your goal. Like this will help you so much in your tech journey, and you don't need a degree plan curriculum. I'm literally giving you the curriculum. Like just learn the basics, learn about a really specific like making a program, and then the third part is how you actually monetize it, which is that you can do it in 2 ways. One is you can either get a job or you can like make software for other people. And like even these 2, there's like a little bit of science to this, like making a resume in a way that like recruiters read. How to prepare for interviews, like if you want to freelance, like work for other people. So I've done both. I've been making apps for other businesses like way before Microsoft, and then obviously the Microsoft era came. So that's the part 3. So those were like the 3 steps basically that I followed that helped me like fast track my way. And all of this I teach, like all the specific skills, like all for free in the community. You guys can check it out. But yeah.
Incredible. So you're saying that first make something, as a lot of new indie hackers say, make something shitty, make it less shitty, ship it. So make a product end to end. And number 2 is learn the skills. And number 3 is like, number 3, what did you say? Sorry, I forgot.
Number 3 is how do you actually market it? It's like, how do you use that to either get a job or launch your own business? Like many people can create websites, can create apps, but only a certain few actually have successful ones. And there's a way to doing that. Like, how can you make your app be successful? How can you get more, like, how can you freelance basically? How can you get more projects and stuff? So that's like once you've learned the basics, once you have the skill of making a product, then how do you actually make money from it? That's part 3. So that's like the framework. Yeah.
Number 3, ship it. So basically this whole journey is end to end. What about lead code? Like, someone watching this want to get a job at Microsoft, like they need like strong lead code abilities as well. Where did you get the time, and how did you
That is
tackle
after the
those
fact,
hard
yeah.
questions?
So that's a really key concept as well. So one thing I do, so I do like personal one-to-one coaching with a lot of people. That this is paid, this is not free. So like I literally, but now my goal is to make it free for people. So I used to do a lot of, I still do a lot of paid one-to-one coaching. And the biggest thing I've seen with people is like they spend like 8 hours, they show me their lead code profile, like, hey, I've done like the medium problem, a hard problem. I'm like, this is going nowhere. You only do lead code when you're preparing for a technical interview. That's it. Like there's no actual, like I've never ever met a software engineer in my life who had to like reverse a linked list. Like it's just never happened. Like focus on building products. Lead code part, you do it after the fact, like once you're actually in the job phase, like once you're applying for jobs and stuff. Yeah. Another thing I'll just mention, so this is the roadmap that I followed. This is equally important as what not to do, because a lot of people get confused, like what should I do? Like here's what you do. You either learn about apps, learn about websites, or games. What you shouldn't do is like make yourself confused, like, hey, should I learn like LLM? Should I learn this technology? Should I learn like AR development, VR? All of that will come later. Like you start with something core first, and then you can transition easily. But a lot of people that I work with, like they get confused. Like I don't know where to start. Like is there just so many options out there in tech? But this is where you start with. You start with building a product, learning skills that help you build a product. So.
Incredible. Okay, now let's talk about your journey at Microsoft. What is your goal now? You want to become like a senior, you're already an SD2 at Microsoft, so you want to become like a senior engineer or principal engineer down the line?
No, almost an SD2, still SD1, almost 2. For those wondering, like the way it works in tech companies is you have your SD1 level, which is your entry, SD2, which is intermediate software, and then after that is senior. And then after that, you can become a manager, and stuff. So that's like the path in tech companies for people who don't know.
So do you want to become the youngest like principal engineer or not? Like,
well, yeah, that'd be really cool. That'd be a good goal. Right now, my main focus is one at Microsoft. It's just continuing doing the best work that I can. Obviously leveling up, being the youngest senior, being the youngest principal. That would be epic. So obviously that is a goal. Like fast tracking my way inside Microsoft as well. That's number one. But my second goal is like a bit outside of Microsoft as well, which is now my main goal is like making this biggest like tech community in the world. So that's something I focused on, like in terms of my personal goals. Like I want to do that because I know there's so many people out there who just like, if they just had someone to tell them like, hey, don't do this, do this, like they'd be so ahead from where they are right now. Because I did that. Like I literally it's so painful. Like now knowing what I know now, like, how can I waste my time? Like I literally did, I mean, it's not wasting because I learned a lot of lessons, but 9 years of just trial and error. Like I'm not even joking when I say this. Like I made so many different apps, websites, this and that, like probably like in the hundreds. Like 2 of them maybe worked, like that were actually successful. But if I just had someone to help me, like, hey, like don't learn about AR development or VR development, like continue on your app journey, or like there's someone to point that out, that would have been a massive help. So that's my goal now. Like there's a Microsoft goal, which is obviously being the youngest in Microsoft, like a principal, senior, leveling up. Outside of Microsoft is like being a resource for other people. So those are the 2 things I'm focused on right now.
Incredible. And now let's move on to your startup as well. You have done amazing work in healthcare. So now let's talk about your healthcare startup. It is very impactful. I heard that you are, reducing the time to get the specialized help at hospitals from 2 hours to within seconds with technology. Can you break that down?
Sure, yeah. So one of the things that I'm working on, so this is outside Microsoft, outside the community, my own personal project that I'm involved in, which is we're creating a system here in Canada. I'll backtrack a bit. So in Canada, we have universal healthcare, which basically means that anyone that's a Canadian gets free healthcare. So you can come to an emergency room, get checked for free. I don't think that's the case in the United States, but in Canada it is. As a result of that, what happens is like if I have ear pain, I have a small fever, I have a cough, emergency rooms are always full because you don't pay for it. It's free. So there's like people with minor stuff like ear pain, fever, a small like fracture, etc., and then like major stuff as well. So as a result, what happens is like emergency rooms become too saturated. Like they're too crowded. You don't have enough doctors. And then instead of the doctor for helping people who are actually in need, like a heart attack, a stroke, a possible tumor, etc., like serious conditions, they're spending their time with like minor stuff, like a fever, ear pain, etc. So that's one of the really big problems here in Canada is emergency waiting times. Because it's free, it's always full. Like literally, we had to go. I remember my brother had a really bad cough, and we went to the emergency. We had to wait 4 hours before he was seen. Like it's very crazy. And even this is like being generous. Like usually it's like 5 hours, 6 hour wait time. Anyone who's in Canada who knows this, like you know what I'm talking about. Like emergency wait times are very crazy. So one attempt we have in solving this, and we have some proven case studies, is creating a platform that speeds up referral times. So say if you have someone that has his hand burn, like you have a hand burn. Now you need to see a plastic surgeon to fix this, right? So you can't operate in the hospital, but they'll refer you to a plastic surgeon. The way it happens right now is I'll come in with my hand burn. The nurse will check it. The nurse will like put me in the system. She will say, okay, like after 1 hour, the doctor will see you. The doctor comes, he sees it. He's like, okay, wait, I can't do anything about it. I need to send you to a plastic surgeon. And then what will happen is like the doctor will tell the nurse that, hey, check first who's on call right now, and then call their office, check if they have an available appointment, and then book this patient with that on-call plastic surgeon. Mm-hmm. That's how it happens right now. And so what will happen is the nurse will go contact the she will check the list first. Okay, Dr. Hernur is on call today. So he's taking appointments. I'll call Dr. Hernur's office. Your medical assistant will pick up. She'll say, okay, we have a slot for tomorrow, like a 30-minute slot, send your patient. They'll say, okay, they will say the patient details. So there's a lot of manual communication that happens in this process. Like just sending a referral, you have to coordinate who's on call, you have to call their office and stuff. So this can easily take like 1 to 3 hours, like this whole process, because you're also dealing with other patients as well at the same time. So what we've done, we've created a platform that's used by two people. One, the referring doctor. So so this whole scenario that I mentioned, like after the software we worked on, this is how it works. I come in with a hand burn. A nurse looks at it. She said, okay, the doctor will see you. Doctor comes, takes a photo of my hand, presses a button on an app. It automatically goes to whatever the available slot is for the on-call doctor. On-call doctor gets a notification that, hey, we have a patient booked. Do you want to confirm this appointment or not? So the nurse didn't have to contact their office. They didn't have to check a time, etc. All that's gone. It's now all automated. So basically like the problem we're solving is speeding up referral times. And as a consequence, what happens is like the wait time in emergencies gets speed up. Because if you have someone with a hand burn, with an ear pain, instead of them waiting like 3 hours, they only have to wait a couple, like maybe 30 minutes. And they know that they're off to the doctor. They have their appointment scheduled. So.
That's a very incredible use of technology. And like, how did you get to know about this problem statement, and how did you get the confidence you can solve it? Like, most of the time we see so many problems around us. The biggest thing I've seen is 90% of them don't care about those problems. They feel like someone will come and solve the problem. They don't even care giving feedback to the hospital to help them solve it. They're just like, okay, someone is going to magically come and solve it. How do you get the confidence that you are the one who can solve it? With no expertise in healthcare.
So that's where networking is really important, like talking to people and getting to know people. So the way this came about is I don't have, as you said, I'm a tech. I have expertise in tech, not in healthcare. So I'm doing this in tandem, in collaboration with a plastic surgeon here in Vancouver. This is where networking happens. Like you promote yourself. You talk to people online, networking events, etc. I met this plastic surgeon. They had this idea about this. They were already trying to do something similar, and I hopped on board. So now it's like a co-founded startup, basically. And how I had the confidence that I can do this is with my technical expertise. Like I know I have 10 years of tech experience with me that I can bring and solve this on a technical level. And then who I'm working with, my co-founder, they're helping me break into the hospital system with this. Like we're testing it with their group. We already have 4 hospitals in Vancouver who are using this. So, wow. But sorry, just to summarize. So the confidence for me came from the amount of years I've spent in tech. Like I know I can handle a problem of this caliber. So.
Incredible. So for Rayyan, who is like 20 years old now, 4 years of experience at Microsoft at the age of 20, and who is building stuff as well, what does a day in life look like for you?
For me, a day in life is, so my day starts very late. I'm more of a night person. This is like an honest day in life. Like no, like I don't wake up at 5 a.m. Like none of those Instagram reels that you see, like wake up 5 a.m., do a sauna, workout, etc. So my day starts really late. I wake up around 10 a.m. My Microsoft work starts around 11 to like it goes around 11 to 7, 11 to 6. So I'm more of a night person. So I have my Microsoft day. And then after that, it's usually gym, just to kind of have a mental reset. And then after gym, it's like time for my own ventures. So it's either the startup or it's the community that I'm working on. And then I work on it until like 3 a.m., go to bed, and then the cycle repeats. And then on the weekends, because there's no Microsoft, then it's just like a full day to myself. So
incredible. So what do you think in your journey about marketing? Like you got like organic growth for your first startup, right? So what do you think is the best way to market and like reach massive amount of people and scale as a solo founder?
Yeah. I think there's two main things. One is joining communities of like specifically the problem that you're solving, joining communities around that. So for example, during like my first anime that I did, I was very involved in, like I didn't spend any money on paid ads, but I was involved in promoting it by myself. So like I would join like Facebook groups, Reddit groups, people who are like focused on like this, who actually like who watch a lot of animes, and I would talk with them. Like I wouldn't promote my app like just straight, hey, this is a free app, download it. I would like talk with them like, hey, did you like this new episode? Yeah, I liked it. You know where I watched it? I watched it on this app. Stuff like that. So I did that. So if you're a solo founder, you have an app, like a something that you are trying to promote, joining communities, not just for promoting, like just being a member of communities that are around your whatever problem you're solving. That's number one, to get organic growth. And then the second is obviously whatever you're doing, do it like have it be really good quality, so it just spreads word of mouth. Like I literally spent $0 in paid ads for my first like the first startup, and it was all word of mouth. Like one person liked it so much they shared it with their friends, and just like kind of trickled down. So focusing on quality, like your product, like whenever you're marketing something, your product should be good. Like you can't market something bad. So focusing on quality for organic, joining communities, that was really helpful for me. And then the third, if you have money, obviously ad spend is the best. Like if you have money to spare, because like realize this, like how big is Coca-Cola? There's not a single city in the world that doesn't have like Coca-Cola drinks, yet they still have one of the biggest marketing budgets in the world, because it's very common, like not common, it's a known fact. Whatever humans see, like whatever a human sees daily is like whatever is what they associate with. So like even the biggest company who like Nike, Adidas, like they already so like they're already such big companies, yet they still have some of the biggest marketing budgets in the world. So if you have the money, ad spend is like, this is something that I do now. Obviously now I have the money to spend in ad spend, but if you're a solo founder and if you have the money, like invest in ad spend. YouTube ads, Facebook ads, they're way more powerful than you think. Because realize like you're competing with every other founder in the world. Like how would you get attention? Like I work on an app. I tell my mom, I tell my dad, like they know about it, but no one outside my room or our house knows about it. The only way to tell people about my product is by actually promoting it. And organically, you do that by communities, talking to people. If you want to do it inorganic, if you have some money, like paid ads is the best. There's no way around it. So
that's how you plan to scale, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Who are your biggest inspirations in your journey? Books, people you follow, influencers?
Biggest inspirations, well, personally, in terms of motivation, it's always been my family. Family's been a big inspiration. In terms of technically, I mean, one person I really like, I mean, Elon Musk is, I'm a very big fan of Elon Musk, just because of the amount of, like, I'm trying to run two startups here, my Raytech company, app development, and my healthcare startup. And just managing those two is so much. And then Elon Musk is like running multiple $100 billion companies. So that's always like, that lets me know that, hey, it's possible. Like you can't use that as an excuse. Like I don't have time, I can't do this, etc. Like it is possible to run multiple $100 billion companies. So that's been my, like one of my goals in my mind. Like, hey, if Elon can do it, I want to do it as well. So the way I'm now, benchmarking myself. I'm now doing it against Elon. So like Elon was worth, I think, 20 million when he was 23. Now I want to beat that when I'm 23. So this is the level that I'm thinking at. So yeah, Elon's been one figure in the tech world. And family's been really big in terms of like motivation. Elon, I think would be. Books, I'm not a big reader per se. I'm much more of like, I haven't read that many books, like especially in the tech world, but online interactive videos and stuff, that's been my thing. But yeah, so can't name any books, but yeah.
You don't have to be a reader. I think the amount of action you take, if it's more than amount of content you consume, that's what it takes. And you are the person people should take inspiration, because he doesn't consume a lot of content but spends 90% of the energy on the action he takes. But currently Gen Z is completely opposite. They consume as much content they can in a day and take minimum action possible, and you're the reverse of that. And I think that's one of the biggest lesson I've learned. And you have very measurable goals. Like, you have goals like before 23, you want to be bigger than Elon Musk. So it's incredible. And my last question will be like, a lot of people from Pakistan also watching this video. What advice would you have for them? Because like, I saw that like, the Fiverr and Upwork, like the industry is so heavily dominated by people from Pakistan. It's incredible. They're amazing. I've like taken help on Fiverr from so many people, and they are all from there. They're so talented. What advice you would give them?
I think this advice is not necessarily to Pakistani, but it literally applies to anyone. If you're in India, Sri Lanka, England, Germany, doesn't really matter. But the biggest advice I have for you is you're at home and you want to make a name for yourself. You want to, like, say you're a freelancer. There's two paths that you can go down to in the tech world. You can either launch your own product. You can either work for a company, or actually three paths. You can either work for a company, or you can work for other people, like make software for them. All three of them, the way you do it is by marketing yourself. It's like making an online image for yourself. So like if you want to get a job, polishing your resume, like I have lots of, again, small plug, like in my community, free tips on how you do that, which a principal EM taught me literally, like polishing your resume so you get noticed by recruiters, polishing your LinkedIn so you get noticed by like whenever you're applying for jobs. So there's a science to it as well. If you want to say create your own startup and you want to promote that, learning about basics about like psychology, like how people perceive something, like how people perceive needing versus wanting. Like everyone wants to make money in tech. And the way they do that is they need to learn programming, but nobody wants to learn programming. So like say if I'm selling my community, I'll tell people like, hey, I'll show you how to make money in tech. I don't tell them like, hey, I'll show you how to learn programming. So like these small things like this, learning about those. So if you're in India, Pakistan, wherever you are, learning about basic marketing, this will help you immense. Learning about basic communication, learning about reach out strategies. So it's like, say if you're a freelancer and you want to get new projects, and I'll share this here, the biggest way that I've been able to get projects is by doing Loom videos, which is like, say you're a business, you're a YouTuber, right? So I'll email you, you'll open your email, it'll have a video of me, and then like I'll have a document open, and I'll say, hey, Harnoor, I checked out your YouTube channel. It's amazing. You do like this stuff really well. This stuff maybe you can improve on. Like if you're interested, like let's hop on a quick 10-minute call, and I can show you like how to do this stuff. Like literally they're just doing this. I did that obviously in the app development version. So I would send a video to like say a physiotherapy clinic. Like, hey guys, you do amazing work. I checked your social media, etc. Amazing. One thing that would really help your business is if you had a mobile app that people can just do their exercises on. Like that would be immense. I have an idea for it. If you guys want, let's do a free like 10-minute call to discuss this more. Like just doing that was the biggest thing that helped me in terms of like getting more projects. And now I've been able to like run my company with that. So for specific advice, like that's like just learning reach out, that will give you way more projects. Because I've done like the Upwork freelancing work, didn't work out for me because like you don't want to wait for other people to contact you. Like you want to be contacting them. Like, hey, I provide these services. Your business is amazing. You have these gaps. I can fill in these gaps for you. Let's talk. So
incredible. These are great lessons to have, because you need to market yourself. You need to promote yourself indirectly. direct promotions don't work. Even like ads, you see, they are not direct promotions. Even businesses, you see, they are not directly trying to say that go click on this link. They are like indirectly trying to appease you, and you have to do the same when you talk to others. And Loom is a great idea because Loom is such a handy clickable link. It's not a YouTube link, but why Loom, you will say? Why not a YouTube link?
Well, anything. The Loom it just makes it easy because like you have your face. You can literally do it on Zoom as well. I did Zoom as well, where you have your face and then like a document there.
I see.
Basically, the whole goal here is we're trying to make it personalized. What you don't want to do is you don't want to generate an email from ChatGPT and copy paste it and send it to 1,000 people, because that's just not going to work. But you want something to be personalized. Like even in my example, like I get some messages on Instagram as well. I am more likely to respond like if someone does it like with my name on it, like if it's personalized, like hey Harnoor, I checked out your YouTube channel, amazing, versus like hey, I checked out your YouTube channel, it's amazing. Like just doing something that's personalized. So if you are someone who knows how to make apps, who knows how to make websites, the best way that you can get clients at home is by doing reach out, but personalized reach out. It's more painful. Obviously, it takes a lot of time, because if you do like the ChatGPT email automation stuff, that you can send 1,000 emails in one day, but then you won't really hear back. Versus like you investing time in like maybe sending 2 emails every day or 3 emails, you're more likely to get a response. So this would be my biggest tip for people who are in like the freelancing world. So.
Totally. Very last question. Like, since you have seen so many business ideas around you, business problems, what are the ideas you haven't been able to work on and you want to share with the community?
Sure, yeah. If anyone's willing to do it, like I'll be your first investor. Just to reach out to me. There's been a couple. Mainly, most of them have been in like the app development area. One of them, one of my ideas. Obviously, I'm a really big anime fan. One idea I had was like creating a motivational community, but as an app. So, we can expand this to anyone. Like say Bollywood actors. Like imagine you're going to bed. You get a phone call. You pick it up. It's Salman Khan. And in his voice, he's like, hey, Harnoor, you told me you had these amazing goals. What have you done today? So like one idea I had was like using Gen AI to like basically create like a accountability or motivation type app. This is something I've really wanted to do, but there's absolutely no time to do it. And I know it will work. Like there's so many, like imagine
This is so amazing. I want to work on it. This is exceptional. I think we need a bigger community of ideas because implementation for these ideas is way easy.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just literally bandwidth now. Like I just don't have the bandwidth to try this out. But something like this, like, and you can expand this like anime characters, or like say you get a phone call from Elon Musk, like, hey, you told me that it's all obviously AI generated, but in his voice, he's like, hey, you told me you're gonna work on this. What did you do today? Someone to hold you accountable and stuff. It's a really handy thing. I think I know it will work, but just if anyone's listening here, try this idea. Reach out to me or Harnoor, like join the community. We do a lot of idea discussions there as well. Like I'll be literally the first investor in this. So that was one idea. The other one was which was a much more specific, which was making like the clinic world a bit more easier to navigate. So like say a spa or like a physiotherapy clinic or like a chiropractic clinic. Right now, they have to use a lot of softwares to manage all of their operations, like appointment bookings, cancellation. There are already a lot of softwares for this, but they're very hard to use. The problem with, and the way I know this is like one of our family friends runs a dermatology clinic, and he told me directly that, hey, like if you can build this software for us, like I'll be your like first customer. So like that part of the world is very that there's a lot of opportunity in that part of the world, like the chiropractic, physiotherapy, spa clinic type management software. I think I probably want to do something there as well. One thing I wanted to do was create a software that's like an all-in-one. Do you know about so something like you can send your customer emails, reminders, appointment booking, cancellations, manage your inventory, like everything, but just in one software. I wanted to do that, but make it very simple. Like, because right now there are software that exists, but they're very hard to use. Like you actually have to train your receptionist on how to use them. But that's one area I wanted to go into as well. So, but again, no bandwidth. So.
These are incredible. Thank you. These are very helpful. Go out, check out those business ideas, work on it, and email him. So thank you so much, Rayyan. It was wonderful talking to you. There's so much to take away from the podcast. So comment down what you learned, and thank you so much again. We'll be in touch, and check out his amazing channel and his community as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me. It's been amazing chatting with you. So.